Hey there, long time no see. Sorry I haven't made any videos lately. We have had a lot going on, had a death in the family, had a funeral, been a lot of other things, so I apologize for not having made any videos lately. I have been working on a project and I am making slide out drawers for our kitchen cabinets because quite frankly I'm tired of getting down on the floor and not being able to practically get back up. So I bought some real nice heavy duty drawer slides. They're rated, I think it's 100 pounds. So what I'm going to do and stuff is I'm going to make the drawers so they can slide out. So like our pots and pans, I've already finished those, and I will take a video of that to show you. Okay, when we're installing these pull-out slides in the cabinet, the first thing I wanted to do, make sure, is to measure from the back of the cabinet, which I have, as you can see, there's a board right here. So I'm just going to measure to that board, to the front edge of the cabinet up here. And as you can see, it's just about 21 and just a little shy of a quarter. So what I did is, these are 2x3s instead of 2x4s because I didn't need something quite so tall. So I just went and got the 2x3s and then went ahead and cut them. And with the 2x3, it's not a true 2 inches, just like a 2x4 is not a true 2 inches either. But it was enough to bring it flush with the cabinet here. And I just went ahead and drilled pocket holes and fastened it into the front of the frame here and also into the back of the frame back here. Now on this one over here, I did the measure the same, and since there is no board right here like there was on the other one, the length on it was actually longer. So you want to make sure that you measure both sides because there could be a variance, it could be a difference. Look at all that food. And then the first one I fastened going down instead of into the wall, and then the second one I fastened into the wall, and I actually did have to go up underneath the board here, and there's like a 1x2 under here supporting this shelf, and screwed up from the bottom. I put a square, small T-square back there to make sure that I was square with the wall, and this house isn't so old that it's, you know, not that square. I know if you get into a house that's built in like the early 1900s or whatever, in the 1800s, you're probably not going to have a square anything in that house. So anyway, so then I went ahead and fastened those all in, and it is up against the wall. There's a shadow here, but as you can see, it is up against the wall. And here are the two slide outs, and I know from measuring that the two of these together are 1 inch. So whenever you make your drawers, you have to take off at least 1 inch from the overall width of the drawer to get it to fit with the slides and the bump outs that I did. So that thing is magnetic and it sticks to everything. So as you can see, there's how the slides will be if they're mounted in there. It will come up to the front a little bit here, but these doors, when they shut, only go part way onto the frame here. It's just a little bit of a reveal. So by the time I put the front on here and stuff, it'll be just about flush with this. So whenever you go to mount these, and let me pull this back out. Hopefully you can see the light in here is kind of cruddy. Whenever you go to mount these, you want to use, you don't want to mount it down here or anything like that. You want to use like this tab here, because that allows a little flex away from the wall in case the track has to have a little bit of a give. It's the same down here. Then that way there is a little bit of an adjustment and stuff in case you have to pull it out from the wall to get it to fit the box and stuff. Hopefully you've cut your box so it'll fit pretty decent and you won't have to worry about pulling the track out some. And same there. And as you get farther on up, you'll have to pull the track out some in order to access the holes that are in here. So basically with these three, this would be the one that you want to use, because that would be the end of the three tabs. So anyway, so then it slides there, and this part here is the part that will actually be attached to the drawer itself. And there is a little bit of a, when you push these in, there is a little bit of a resistance at the very end. You can kind of tell. But that basically is when they are locked in at the back there. That's really blue. There we go. But there's like a little rubber tab thing back there at the back and stuff, and that's where it locks in. So whenever that clicks that last little bit, that's locked in. So I'm just going to go ahead and, since my drawer, I've got it in there waiting for the putty to dry, I'm going to go ahead and install these. And I will bring them flush to the edge of the cabinet, because like I said, the drawer itself will be flush with this. So as long as I don't go past this a little ways, because as you can see the door, there is a little bit of a cut back on that. So as long as I don't get into this, I'm okay. So I'm going to go ahead and mount these. In order to mount them, first thing you want to do is extend them out. And what I do, in order to get a little bit of clearance, because I don't want them sitting right on the bottom of that drawer, is I actually cut some scrap of that plywood. And I'll put them on that, and then go ahead and pull the drawer. And there are special screws that you have to get for this, and I'll actually put a link to those as well. Because if I remember correctly, these do not ship with the hardware. So, let's see if we can get the camera in there. I don't know if you'll be able to see or not, but we'll try. Maybe kind of a challenge with me and you and the camera and the light and everything else in there. But there you go. Hopefully you can see that. And then, like I said, just continue up the track. And the next one will be that one right there. And I'm sure you probably don't have to put screws in every single one of these. So I think I'll just go ahead and go up to this next one up here. Oh, stupid. It's not enough room for everybody in this cabinet. So there you go. And I will I think the other ones and stuff I didn't necessarily go to the very end because there's not much give to it. So This very last one up here, I'll go ahead and put one in there too. And this one's a little trickier to get to because you actually have to slide this thing here. There we go. And just make sure that you set your screws deep enough in this that the track will slide all the way in and out. And as I said, that's why you need the special screws, and like I said, I'll put a link to those as well. And then we'll just do that on the other side and stuff, and then after we get our drawer ready to go and stuff, then it should be ready to go ahead and mount. So, we'll be back later. Basically what I'm doing and stuff, I made this little jig for my router and stuff because I'm going to take the side and end boards and stuff for the drawers. And this is simply 1/2 inch BCX or BXC or whatever, sanded plywood. And I've cut this to size. This drawer is going to be the one that we use for our glassware, like our 9x13 dishes and stuff like that. So what I'm wanting to do is I've got some 1/4 inch plywood in here also, and so I'm going to cut some slots in this for the drawers, for the bottom of it. So I fixed this up real quick yesterday. Took about 15 or 20 minutes maybe. But I can adjust this slide back and forth so I can adjust the depth of the cut that I want on this. And I can also get to it underneath here, as you can see. So I can adjust the depth of the bit as well. So what I'm going to do now and stuff is I'm just going to go ahead and I'll show you real quick how I cut the groove in this. And I'm trying to, there's a nice side to this and there's a not so great side. So the drawer is going to be on the inside, so I'm using the not so great. So when you pull it out, you'll actually see the nice side of this. Show you the groove that I've cut for this. And here you can see. So the 1/4 inch plywood that I've got will actually rest in this. So I'll finish up the rest of the drawers and then I'll start assembling the drawer for you. I did not cut these real deep on here because I don't want to weaken the sides of the drawer. It's just going to be deep enough to allow the 1/4 inch of plywood to fit in there. So, okay, I ordered a cheap pocket hole kit, or tool should I say, from Amazon, and also this clamp. And I just mounted it to this board. I do have to clamp this with this to hold this thing in place, which I wish it was a little bit different, but oh well. So what I'm going to do now, and I always get a practice piece to make sure that my holes and all that stuff are set at the correct depth. So you really just want these to not bottom out here at the bottom. And there's just a little bit of a pilot hole coming through on the bottom of that. And I've got 3/4 inch screws for that since this is 1/2 inch wood. So, yeah, I'm going to put the pocket holes on the outside of this. I think, let's see. Since I know my drawers are 10 inches. Every 2, 4, 6, and let's see, hold still, 8. I'm going to put 4 of these in each one of these. Might as well hook this one on at it. The only thing I've noticed with this is it does tend to choke up with the shavings. And I'll bring you on this side so you can see me actually drilling a hole. And there you go. There's our 4 pocket holes. So I'll continue to do this the other side and then we will be back. Okay. So now I've got my boards all with the pocket holes all cut. So I want to line up my groove with the groove on here. And I'm going to go ahead and glue these as well. Just for a little added strength. I know they got pocket holes, but I don't think a little glue is going to hurt anything. And I recently bought some Gorilla glue, so wood glue, so we'll see how this stuff works. And so we'll line that up. And we'll line our grooves up as best we can. And I got my 3/4 inch screws, so hopefully it won't go through the other side. You do want to make sure when you put these pocket screws in here that you do turn the torque on your gun down. And no blowout. Yay! Okay. Another way you can do this, if you don't have a pocket jig tool, is an electric nailer or air nailer. This side. And that can give you a little extra strength if you want it. You could nail it by hand too if you had to. I'll have to pull this one out. But anyway, I will cut the piece to slide in here, and we'll get that in just a minute. Okay, I've got my board measured out here. This is just a scrap I had. I'll probably sand it down a little bit. So it's 21.5 by 10.5 on this. So I bought a AccuCut track from Craig because I'm about the world's worst at making straight cuts. So I thought this has got to help. I think we got it this time. So let's, just to make sure, I'm going to tack that real quick with my gun. And then I'll measure square on that before I screw it together real good. have our completed box with our bottom. So let me get my square and make sure everything's square on it. Yep. Corner's good and square. After I tack it. I don't have any bread. Hold on. We're out of nails. Houston, we have a problem. I got this air nailer, brad nailer, whatever you want to call it. Not too long ago, and was this thing handy? That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. And, all right. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and tack this just a little bit, just to draw it together a little bit better. And I do have some, so like I said, I'm going to fill up these pocket holes that screwed up. And it's like I said, it's plywood. Drilling into plywood is kind of a nightmare with those pocket holes, because unless you drill, you know, with the grain this direction instead of this way, you do take a big risk of splitting out. So we'll go ahead and try this and hope I don't split it out this time. There we go. So one thing when you do the pocket holes in the plywood stuff, you have to be really careful with your how deep you set that to the edge. And I did back off a little bit on this, but see, I can tell right now it's going to split out, so I'm not even going to bother with that one. And I am not a professional, but you know what? Hey, we try. I give an E for effort who anybody who tries to do this kind of stuff themselves without hiring professionals to come in and do it. And you're trying to save some money. Yeah, just a wrinkle to that, so I'll fix that. Alright. So part of the reason that I did go ahead and nail this together, I nailed the other boxes together as well. So, what I did with the other drawers is I just sanded these down and then just coated them with a clear polyacrylic, mainly because of the dry time on it. So let's take this in the house and see how it fits, and then we'll go from there. And as you can tell, our house is a wreck right now. Here are here's the heavy-duty full extension hinges or drawer slides I got. I got these from Amazon, and I will leave a link down below of the video. Because like I said, I do believe that these are rated for 100 pounds. And even with my cast iron skillets, I don't think I have anything that weighs 100 pounds. So, this is the moment of truth. Keep your fingers crossed that this actually will fit in here. And here we go. And I'm going to, since this is so high to the top of the drawer, so I don't want anybody busting their knuckles trying to pull this out, I'm going to actually take a hole saw and cut a hole in there so you can be able to reach in and pull that out. But, and whenever it goes to mounting these, it's relatively simple, really. Let's scoot it back a little bit. You put that in there, and I'll put a little bit of plywood underneath there to give it a little bit of clearance so it won't actually be dragged. I could have taken this out, but too much trouble, and our hinge or our door catches are on there and all that other stuff, so I thought, I ain't doing it. But it would be close clearance on that. But whenever you go to install these, you basically fasten them to the inside of the cabinet, and then these get pulled out and, excuse me, fasten to the drawer, and then I'll pull it all the way out and fasten the back of it. But it's just a real convenient thing to, excuse you, my dog is the nosiest dog you have ever met in your entire life. I'll show you the other drawers and stuff that I've completed already. And I'll be the first to say that I'm not a professional at this. This is my first go at doing something like this, and here comes the dog with the toy. So the first drawers were not professional by any means, and I saw mistakes that I made on them, and I'll be the very first to admit it's less than perfect, but they do work exactly how I wanted them to. Let's see, you can pull these all the way out and get to everything that you want. So let me tilt this a little bit more, and then I'll show you the bottom one as well. So it makes it a lot easier, more convenient, instead of getting down on the floor and trying to crawl to the back of the cabinet. And then this slides all the way out as well. So it just makes it real nice and easy to get to things. And then just shut the door. That's it. So anyway, I'll take this out there, and then whenever I go, I've got another, at least 2 drawers to do. Well, 3 really, after this one is done. And then I will show you, wow, I look bad. Hot and sweaty. I'll show you what I had to do and stuff, because I actually had to put 2x3s inside here to get the clearance for these slides in order to clear this door frame or whatever. So I said, I'm going to put a hole in there so I can grab, and then I'll sand all this down and fill these holes up on the sides. So I'll show you the drawer finishing next and stuff, and then like I said, I'll go back and I'll edit the video so you can see everything the way it's supposed to be done. Okay, I want to fill up these holes. So like I said, this is some Minwax stainable wood filler. I'm not staining these, but this is a real light stain, or real light wood filler, so it works good for this. I wouldn't have to do this, but I just think it gives it a nicer finished look. And I'll do it down here too. And then just take a putty knife and kind of spread it out. Like I said, I will sand this and stuff, so any of this is sticking up above it, we sand it off and get a little bit better finish to it. Stuff also works good for filling up any voids that you might have in the plywood as well. Since this isn't, I really wanted birch plywood, but that's a special order, and I thought I ain't waiting. I know impatient, isn't it? I think it might finally kick up that storm I was talking about. It's supposed to have high winds and chance of hail and all that good fun stuff. Springtime in Missouri. So like I said, this might look a little sloppy right now, but when you sand it and stuff, this stuff sands really nice. And I'm not worried about it being perfect, so it's going to be in a cabinet and nobody's going to see it. And there we go. And for now, until this dries, we'll call that done. And like I said, I'll just sand this down real good. Usually with just like 220, just a real light sanding. Then I'll hit it with some polyacrylic, just clear spray. And then I'll sand it again down with 220 and hit it one more time with the polyacrylic. So ends up with a nice finish. So. And then I'll round these over just a little bit with the sander while I'm doing it. So we'll be back after this dries, and we can go ahead and sand it. And this works pretty good for filling voids in the plywood as well. So let's go ahead and touch that up. Alright, I want to push my boards off to the side as much as possible. Leave them hanging out some. A bit. And then go ahead and push my box in. That's what she said. And as long as I've got this under the edge of that, and to level that up some. Pull that out a little bit. And push this part of the track back. And I've got my shims hanging out, so let's tap that down to make sure that's in there tight. And we'll screw our first screw in on this side. And let's put it in this one that'll level it up and down. And we will do the same on the other side. There we go. And I'll do the same over here. Alright. Now that I think I got it in there, alright, let's pull out the shims. So, whenever you pull this out, you have to push this tab down here on this side, or lift up on it, depends on. And then push down on the other one, and then the drawer will slide the rest of the way out and release. So then we just have to install the other screws. This one here. All right. Now let's see if we can get it back on the track. I had one of these yesterday. Apparently I fastened just a little too tight to the drawer, and I had a hard time getting them lined up. So let's see if I did any better on this one. Hopefully. It's a little crookedy, but oh well. Now, let's see. We could put our glass dishes in there and see how well everything fits. I was afraid when I made this that it might be a little too narrow, but no, they actually do fit in there. So, all right. Let me put this on a tripod, and then we'll be back. Okay, so our 9 by 13 fits in there. The lid for it fits in there. These will fit in there. There we go. Here you go, Mommy.
The vacuum out the stuff dust underneath there. Oh boy, that sounds nice.
And now I just have to do the second drawer.